Hello, good evening, Leandro. How do you feel? Is everything okay?
Yes, everything okay. Good evening.
Great, that's great to know. Let's please then start the unit for today. All right, we have to start the last unit. And again, you know what we're going to be doing first. You still have until today to finish unit 3, but today we start unit 4, right, together. And you have these final 2 days, or well, this weekend, to finish everything and also to take the final exam. So I don't know if you have any questions about Unit 3 before going to the last unit. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So as I'm assigning, again, I'm going to ask you, well, myself, a couple of questions. So in this last unit, we're going to see something that is called future in the past. All right. So when you listen future in the past, what comes to your mind, Leandro? What do you think the structure future in the past is going to be?
I don't know, but I think it's a thing that you um a thing that you think that you uh, might do in the future, but you think that in the past.
Okay,
I don't know.
yes, that is good. And it's correct. Yeah, it's something in the past that you thought, right, it was going to be true in the future, right? But in most cases, using this structure, it was not possible, right? So, what is something, and let me ask you that, Leandro, what is something that you thought, all right, about the past that it was going to be true in the future, but it didn't happen? What do you say?
Hmm. I think the I thought the pandemic was during only 2 months or 1 month.
Okay. Okay, yes, that's a good example. Now, let's organize that idea. How do you say this? I'm going to give the Spanish idea, but how do you say then this? Yo pensé que la pandemia iba a durar 2 meses. How do you say that? That's future in the past. But how do you say that in English?
Okay. I was think I yes.
Remember that if you have the verb to be, you
Uh-huh.
use the continuous form, or you have to use be going to. All right, but always you have ing. If you don't use ing, then it's incorrect. All right, so that one again. So how do you say yo pensé, right? Or yes, that one. Yo pensé que la pandemia iba a durar. So let's try
Okay.
to see some alternatives. How could
Okay.
it be?
I thought
Mhm.
the pandemic is correct or is another word?
Yes, it is correct. The pandemic.
Okay, the pandemic. Um, uh, it's going to during 2 months.
Okay, close. There are two things. Remember, as this is past, if you say it's, that is present, right? But this is not present, it's in past. And you don't need it because the subject is the pandemic, right? So we
Mhm.
don't need it. And what is the past of is?
Was
Exactly. So one more time, remember, you don't need it. And instead of is, you need was. So how would it be?
I thought the pandemic was going to during only 2 months.
All right, now only the verb we need to change. The structure is correct. It is very
Mhm.
good. Remember that after going to, you always use the base verb. right? Going
Okay.
to, for example, eat, right? But also there, we are not going to use that word, all right? When you talk about the duration of something, you only say that in a different way, but you don't say also dur over there. You're going to say last. Remember, last is the translation for durar, all right?
Okay.
Like last month, right? But it also means the duration. So it's in the chat. So one more time, please, with that verb.
Okay. I thought mm, the pandemic was going to last 2 months.
Correct. Very good.
Okay.
Right, but it was not the case, right? So good. I thought that the pandemic was going to last. And there's another option that we're going to see now. But let's start reading, all right? These are two examples. Let's read please the two examples there.
Okay. I was going to study law, but my parents took me out of it. I thought I would move to Paris. It never happened, though.
Correct. Good. So the two of them are future in the past. And here you can see the rule to use future in the past. In the first case, you have to use be going to in past. And in the second case, you use an expression plus would. All right. But in both cases, it is correct. And in both cases, you express future in the past. All right. So let's try to give more ideas for each structure. For the first structure, one more time, Leandro, what is something that, well, you had as a plan in the past, with which you can say, I was going to do this or that, but something happened? What do you say? What is something that you were going to do, but something happened and it was not possible?
Okay. I thought I would travel for vacations, but um, but I passed summer classes
Okay, yes, it is correct. Instead of for, you can say they're just on vacations.
on vacations.
Right?
Okay.
Good. That's great. So I thought I would travel, right, on vacation, but right, I passed summer classes. So good. And there, remember, instead of pass only, it's going to be with ed, so it's going to be like past, right? I
Past.
passed exactly, right,
Okay.
summer classes. Good. All right. So you have the two structures: be going to in past and would in with a past expression. So let's read the usage, please.
When you had a plan, expectation, or something was possible, but because of certain circumstances, it couldn't happen, you use the future in the past.
Good, right? So it's what we were saying. If you had a plan, expectation, or something was possible before, but it couldn't happen, not all the cases, okay? Sometimes it can happen. But in most of the cases, if it doesn't happen, or if it didn't happen in this case, it is going to be future in the past. So we have ways to give the contrast, right? We usually use but in this case,
Mhm.
please, you're going to use however. Now, only speaking, after some more slides we're going to write. But give me, please, one more example. And it can be about you or about anybody else, Leandro. What is something that you or a person was going to do? However, something didn't let that happen.
Okay. My friends was going to um, go to the party. However, um, mm, I don't know. However, it was very late.
Okay, yes, that is correct. Only one detail, remember, if you have friends, was is for I, he, she,
Yes.
it, right? So it's going to be where.
Where?
Exactly, right? So my friends, right, we're going to go to the party. However, it was already too late. Okay, so good, good. Now, let's take a look at the structure so that we can start practicing with not that one. This is with would, but I want to go directly to the structure. This one over here. So was or we're going to. Start working on that. I'm going to share the link. All right, this is part of Unit 4, the last unit for this course. And we're going to write some examples with be going to in past. Okay, and remember, it can also be negative. I'm going to show you that one as well. So share. It's taking some time. All right, this is very slow, but it's there. So the link is in the chat as always. We're going to read this slide before going to the examples. All right, so let's read this, please, Leandro.
Okay. Was we're going to. This form is used to describe a future plan or intention relative to the time of speaking. And this form is often used when the anticipated event did not actually happen. It is formed with subject plus was or were in positive or negative, plus going to, plus base form of the verb, plus complement.
Great. And now you know that after that, even you need the contrast, right? So please, you can be affirmative or negative. So you can say something like, I was not going to study medicine, but my parents changed my mind. Okay, they changed my mind. So it is something that you were not going to do, but at the end you did it. Okay, so if it's affirmative, what happened is something negative and you couldn't do it. If it's negative, what happened is something affirmative and you could do it. All right. So with that logic, please, first, if you have questions, you're going to let me know. If not, we are going to write 4 ideas with this one. All right, 4 ideas, 2 affirmative ideas, 2 things that you were going to do, but you get a contrast for what happened. Okay, and 2 ideas in negatives. In negative, I mean 2 things that you were not going to do. And try to do something, please. Let's see if you know some other words. In the 4 cases, try to use 4 different words of contrast. Okay, you already know but and you know however. Okay, but try to use 2 more that are not but and are not however. All right, you can do a small research to use 2 extra words, but that's going to be part of the, let's say, of the instructions. All right, so I don't know if you have questions before giving you the time to do it, Leandro. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right, so again, as you have to look for 2 more contrast words, we're going to have 5 minutes, all right? 4 minutes for the exercises and 1 minute for finding those other words. Let's do it, please, and we'll check in 5 minutes then.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so we had some extra minutes. Let's try to take a look at what you got.
Okay.
All right, and we're going to see how it went. If you have those 4 ways to show contrast, that's everything we're going to need. But just in case, I'm also going to show you some of them after some slides, all right? But let's take a look at what you got then, please, Leandro. Let's read your ideas.
Okay. I was going to buy this toy. Instead, I didn't have money yet. You were going to pass this course, although you didn't have the requirements. He has not going to take the job, but he accept a promotion. They were not going to the mountains this weekend, although they decide to go to the beach.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Now, again, I'm going to give you some ideas. It's good that you had some extra research or time to use these words, All right, but in this case, we're going to use different ones. Why? Because instead in this case, right, is to replace something, right? More than contrast is like say that I was going to do this, but instead I did this other action. But here you're not showing another action, right, that you did. You're showing contrast with I didn't have the money,
Okay.
right? So you instead of it's okay to use instead, but you need a different reason. Okay, so you can say, I was going to buy this toy. You use, for example, semicolon. All right, semicolon. I bought or I don't know, a notebook instead. All right, so by doing this, you are saying that you were going to do this action, but you did this other action. Okay, so if you use it like this, if you tell me another action that happened, it's okay. But if you use it at the beginning and you tell me a contrast, it is not going to be correct. All right, but
Okay.
just to show you, I'm going to give you another alternative. You can say that with your example. Okay, we're going to use your example here. So I was going to buy this toy. Now, instead, we're going to use another word that can replace, all right, this can be the expression though, and it's going to be at the end after everything. Okay, so I was going to buy this toy, semicolon. I didn't have money or enough money, perhaps it's going to be here. All right, enough money though. Okay, instead of that yet at the end. This though means however. Okay, it's used at the end after a comma and it means contrast. Okay, so here you have two possibilities. One showing another action that happened and one showing a reason why you didn't do it. All right. Now, in these two also, it happens something here, Leandro. Although is a type more than contrast is concession. It's like saying aunque. So you're not saying that it didn't happen. You're saying that it happened. Although something was true, it happened. Okay, that's the way we use although. So in this case, actually, we cannot use although because we want to say that it didn't happen, right? Because it didn't happen. But with although, that's not possible. So alternatives are going to be, instead of however, a close expression is going to be nevertheless. All right, nevertheless is a type of contrast, perhaps not the best option, but it's similar to however. So you were going to pass this course, nevertheless, you didn't have the requirements. All right, and although remember, although is when it happens, when it's true, all right, and it didn't matter the situation. So this is good now with nevertheless. This is correct with but. And here also, right, although it's with a different logic. So here you can use one more time, it can be with a period, and you can use one more possibility, that is nonetheless. All right,
Okay.
Nonetheless, and that's also for contrast. All right, so it's going to be they were not going to the mountain. And here you need one more thing. To be a future in the past, you need to use a verb after be going to. All right, for example, here you have going to buy, going to pass, going to take, right? So you can say going to go to the mountains, perhaps. All right, so they were not going to go to the mountains this weekend. Nonetheless, they decided to go to the beach. All right, but remember, this has to be like something that didn't make it possible for this action to happen, right? So yes, they decided to go to the beach. Perhaps you can use what you used before instead at the end to make clear that another action happened. All right, so just to practice and to remember, please, Leandro, let's read all those changes, please.
Okay. I was going to buy this toy and I bought a notebook instead. I was going to buy this toy. I didn't have enough money though. You were going to pass this course. Nevertheless, you didn't have the requirements. He was not going to make the job, to take the job, but he accepted a promotion. And they were not going to go to the mountains this weekend. Nonetheless, they decide to go to the beach instead.
Perfect, right? There you go. Now, if we don't want to use instead, after nonetheless, you're going to give a reason. Okay, so you can say they were not going to go to the mountains this weekend. Nonetheless, they decided to go, right? So they went to the mountains. Remember, if you're using this in negative, it's better to say that it really happened. All right, so you can say something like, nonetheless, they changed, all right, something like this, their mind. Okay, it means that at the end, they decided to go. All right,
Okay.
so those are ideas. Now, we're going to work in the same way, but with a different expression. Here are some examples, but with your examples is more than enough. So let's go to would. Let's read this, please,
Okay. Would this form suggest an expectation or a possibility, but not necessarily a plan? It is often paired with verbs relating to the subject's thought, think, suspect, known, have in the simple past. Would is the past tense of will, formed using subject plus thought or new, etc., plus subject plus would in positive or negative, plus base form of the verb plus complement.
Great, thank you very much. So this is the same as the previous examples, okay? You're going to write one more time, Leandro. You're going to use the same, okay? You're going to use 4 different contrast ideas. Now you have the contrast words, all right? But here you need something extra at the beginning, right? At the beginning, you have to say, I thought, or you can say, I didn't think, all right? So you can say, I thought I would, plus the idea, or you can say, I didn't think I would. All right, so that's going to be the affirmative, I thought, and the negative is going to be, I didn't think. All right, so I'm going to write that over here, but you have the idea. But just in case, one more time, it's going to be, I thought and if you want to be formal, you're going to say that. Okay, I thought that I would become a doctor, right? And then you say, however, right, I changed my mind, what I told you before. And, or you can say, I didn't think that I would become a doctor, right? I did, though. All right, it's like saying at the end, it happened. All right, so those are the 2 possibilities, but you can use different connectors, different conjunctions, different expressions to show contrast. All right, you already have the examples, but that's it. Let me know if you have questions before having the time to work on this, please, Dan.
And I don't have questions.
All right, so it's kind of the same. So let's have this time, please, 4 minutes, and we check in that time, please. All right, just remember that after the I close the clock, that after the contrast, you have to tell me the reason why it didn't happen, or you have to show that at the end it happened. All right, it depends if it's affirmative or negative. So I'm taking the time. I'll check, please, in 4 minutes, and we continue.
Okay.
All right, so let's see what we got. All right, and we're going to check those ideas, and we're going to add some things if something is missing. All right, you're
Oh,
finishing some of them. I think you're missing, right? That is
yeah.
so two of them. So let's have please then 2 more minutes. All right, and two
Okay,
minutes
all
to check
right.
these two. All right, good.
Mhm. Okay, I finished.
All right, so let's take a look at that. Again, with that, we're finishing this lesson and we can give an introduction to the next one. So let's read please your examples,
Okay, I thought that I would travel to the US. However, my mom didn't let me go. She thought she would pursue a career in medicine, but she realized she had a passion of art. They knew they wouldn't live in another country. Nonetheless, they changed their mind. And I thought I would study engineering, but I discovered my love for music composition.
Great. Okay, very good. These are great examples. All right. There are only two little details. One in 15. Remember that if you use a connector like however, we cannot use comma because it's going to be
Mm.
incorrect, right? We can use or semicolon or a period, right? And after nonetheless, as you have here, nevertheless, nonetheless, you always also use a comma. All right, so good. However, here this is perfect. But here this is perfect. Nonetheless, this is also very good. And here, right, this is also correct. But what extra thing can you use instead of but so that we don't repeat? Because you have one time but. What other expression for contrast can you use in number 16, Ken?
Um, Nevertheless,
Okay, good. So what do I need here to use nevertheless? Tell me the punctuation that I have to use, please.
um, uh, period, period, and how do you say mayúsculas?
Capital letter.
Uh, and capital letter, yes, and comma.
Great. There you go. Very good. That's perfect, right? So because you use always period, or you also can use what? Semicolon, right? So that's perfect. Both of them work very good. So that's it. I don't know if you have any questions because I see that it's very good. I have no questions myself. And Leandro, let me know if you have comments before going to the introduction for the next lesson, please.
Um, I don't have questions, but I I think that I need a list of these words, like but, like nevertheless, for connectors.
Okay, good. Yes, yes. I wanted to give you that little by little, but in
Mm,
case again, we're going to work in the next course with more writing. And I think I'm going to share this with you. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you this presentation. This is part of, well, another course about writing, but I'm going to show you this presentation over here. Okay, in this presentation, you have a list of a lot of transitional words and phrases like this. Okay, for example, for other information, you can use also, additionally, furthermore, moreover, in addition to, in fact, as a matter of fact, right? For introducing or highlighting something, for referencing, for showing similarity. This is for contrast, right?
okay,
However, conversely, in contrast, on the contrary, on the one hand, then you have nevertheless, nonetheless, despite, admittedly, regardless, right? So there's a lot of these words, but
okay.
yes, I'm going to share this with you. Uh,
We can pass this or not?
this is a different course, but I'm
Okay,
going to share this with you. All
okay,
right. You can ask, they have courses for writing and for speaking, all right, that are advanced courses. If you contact Executive English and you ask for these courses, I think this is something apart from the program. They can give you access to this, okay? Because these are
okay,
different courses that are 1 month long. But again, I'm going to show you anyways. But in case you want to be very good in writing, there's a writing course here in which we can teach you these words, how to use these, how to use the punctuation marks, how to write essays in detail. But again, that's something extra that it's not directly related to the TOEFL, but it's more to develop your English skills. All right?
all right, thank you.
Good. No, you're welcome. And again, please remind me, I'm going to share this with you, and we're going to try to cover at least some of these words on 812 that is going to start next week. Okay, so let's then have an introduction for the last, sorry, not the last lesson, for the next lesson, because we have two more. But the lesson that we have to cover now, that is the second one, is going to be this one, passive causative. It's something that we covered in the first part of this course, but now it's in passive, okay? And remember, an impassive voice, you don't mention who is doing that action. So let's try to understand this. The introduction is going to be just about these questions and some exercises, Leandro. If I ask you this, what do you do when you require a service? For example, someone to paint your house. So what do you do? Tell me just the process. What do you do?
Okay. I think call to I call an expert.
Good. Uh-huh. And what do you do with that expert? I mean, what's the conversation about? What do you talk about to require the service?
Mm, I think how much is the price? Um how long is the time that he lasting painting all my house?
Good. Very good. Uh-huh. Just one detail, remember, as you're saying that as questions inside your idea, you can say, we talk about how much, instead of how much is the price, you're going to say, we talk about how much the price is.
Okay,
Right? So we talk about how much the price is. We talk about how long it will last, right? ¿Cuánto tiempo durará? How long it will last. So yes, that is correct. Those are important things to talk about, right? The price and the duration, or how long it will last. So now, if you have that, imagine that you have a contract now and you have the professional, right? And the professional paints the house for you. Now, how do you say this idea in English? How do you say, me hice pintar la casa? how do you say that? Me hice pintar la casa.
Mm.
If you analyze there, you are not mentioning a painter, you are not mentioning a professional, right? We suppose that a professional painted the house for you, and we
Mhm.
understand that you made a professional paint the house for you. But in this example, we don't have to mention the professional. So how can we say that? Me hice pintar la casa. What comes to your mind? It's different because actually this is the most common, or not common, sorry, the most or the closest translation, because this structure in English doesn't have a translation, but that's the closest. How do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. Um,
It's
yeah,
tricky,
I
right?
don't know.
Because the
Yes.
order is very, very special. So let's go to the example here. Let's read first the definition. All right, then I'm going to show you the example.
Okay. We use a causative verb when we want to talk about something that someone else did for us or for another person. It means that the subject caused the action to happen, but didn't do it themselves. Maybe they paid or asked of or persuade the other person to do it.
Good, right? So remember, we covered something similar on the first class. Now, we have these three ways to say things in Leandro. The first one is active voice, right? When you do something. So
Mhm.
let's read this sentence, please.
Okay, I cleaned my house.
Good. So if I ask you here, who cleaned your house? What is the answer?
Um, Myself.
Exactly, right? You can say I did it myself, or you can say I did, right? I cleaned my house. Good. Now, in this sentence, it's also active voice, but you are mentioning another person. Let's read
Mhm.
this also, please.
A cleaner cleaned my house.
Good. Now, who cleaned your house in this one?
A cleaner.
Good. Now, if you imagine, this is not common, right? To say, you don't say a cleaner cleaned my house because we suppose that it was a cleaner. So,
Mhm.
to say that, that idea that I told you, me hice limpiar la casa, and you suppose that there's another person, it is like this. Let's read this idea, please.
I had my house cleaned.
Cleaned, exactly. Okay, had here doesn't have the meaning of tener. All right, this is not possession. Had here, it's only a way to say that you paid a person to do something for you. All right, so one more time with your example, then, Leandro, how do you think that you say, me hice pintar la casa?
Um, I had my I had my house painted. Paint.
Very good. Painted, right? It's okay,
Painted.
painted, because the T is strong, so you have to say it, right?
Okay.
Good. And how do you say this? And remember, how do you say, no, actually, let's see if you know, how do you say me hice arreglar o reparar el auto? How do you say
Um, I had my car fixed.
Exactly, right? And with had, right? I had my car fixed. Now, how do you say then this? Imagine future. How do you say me haré arreglar el auto? Me haré arreglar el auto.
Um, I I will have or had, I don't know. I will have um my car fixed.
Fixed, correct? Just remember the rule. The first was correct. After will, you always use the base form, right? So it's have. I will have my car fixed. All right, so that's it. That's how you say that you are paying someone to do something for you, but you don't say all that. Okay, we suppose that you did all that process and you have to use this structure. All right, so again, because of the time, that's going to be like the introduction for today. Tomorrow we're going to finish this lesson and we're going to cover one more that it's going to be a very short that I'm going to show you. That is this one, reported speech. It means it's about the thing that we were doing, right? You are saying other people's words, right? So I don't know if you have any questions before finishing today with this, so that tomorrow we can finish this. That is very short, just two words, have and get. All right, and we know how to use most of them. And then we go to the reported speech. So do you have questions or comments before finishing? Let me know, please.
And no, I don't have questions.
All right. So please, as always, I'm sharing the link, actually the survey. You must see it now. So after you finish with that, that's it. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow to finish the unit then, Leandro.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, good night.
Good night.